Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a fascinating tale straight from the bustling village of Sompur. At the absolute center of our story is a guy named Kalu, a highly successful tea and samosa seller. His stall was literally the heartbeat of the village, always surrounded by massive crowds. But as we're going to see, success can be a total double-edged sword when it's not backed up by good character. So what actually happens when a village's most famous tea seller lets jealousy and greed completely take over his mind? Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack. This explainer isn't just a story about tea and snacks. It's actually a really cool deep dive into the mechanics of a local monopoly, the psychology behind a business rivalry, and the destructive power of greed. We're going to track this dramatic shift from a peaceful village life into a really bitter, ugly rivalry. Let's get into it.
Section 1. A new village rivalry. Okay, so before all the conflict started, Kalu enjoyed what we call a strict monopoly. Essentially, that means he had exclusive control over the market because he was the only tea seller in the entire village. And he was good at it. He made this strong, spicy tea and these incredibly crispy samosas. People literally begged him for a secret recipe, but Kalu flat out refused. He was terrified of competitors. Sure, he was making great money, but right beneath all that success was a hidden, deep-seated greed that drove this obsessive need to control the whole market.
Then, one cloudy day, everything changes. A simple, honest guy named Raghav decides to open a brand new tea and samosa stall directly across the street from Kalu's highly popular setup. Well, as you can imagine, Kalu immediately confronts him. He demands Raghav shut it down, claiming the spot basically belongs to him. They get into this massive argument right there in the middle of the street. It gets so heated that the dispute reaches the village mukhya, the headman. And the mukhya brilliantly diffuses the whole thing by laying down a basic principle of healthy business. Competition should be based purely on taste. Basically, let the best tea win.
Section 2. The bitter price war.
Now, Kalu starts panicking that Raghav is going to steal his customer base, right? So he initiates this vicious race to the bottom. He slashes the price of his tea and two samosa combo from 40 rupees straight in half to 20 rupees. And it works at first. The crowds flock back to Kalu. But then Raghav is forced to drop his prices too, just to survive. Well, Kalu gets furious that Raghav actually matched him, so he slashes his prices even further, all the way down to a mere 15 rupees.
Kalu was willing to go to absolute extremes. He actually tells his customers, "I will drop the price to 10 rupees for you all, just make sure you only come to my stall." Think about that. It was no longer about making a living for him, it was this total, absolute obsession with crushing his rival at any cost.
But you've got to ask yourself, how do you actually sustain a business when you slash your prices by 75%? You can't. So to maintain his profit margins, Kalu resorts to adulteration. He starts mixing cheap, low-quality oil and literally rotten potatoes into his samosas. He is compromising the health of the entire village just to win a petty price war. Now contrast that directly with Raghav. Despite this immense financial pressure, Raghav just continues working with total honesty, using clean ingredients and keeping his integrity completely intact.
Section 3. Kindness versus cruelty.
So picture this. During a really heavy rainstorm, a shivering, starving old man approaches Kalu's stall. He hasn't eaten all day, but he only has 5 rupees to his name. Now remember, Kalu had just proudly boasted about dropping prices to 10 rupees for his loyal customers. But he looks at this hungry old man and angrily rejects him, telling him to come back when his pockets are full. Just zero compassion. Meanwhile, Raghav is standing at his own stall across the street and hears this entire exchange. Without hesitating, he warmly invites the old man over and offers him a hot plate of samosas and tea, completely for free. The old man is so moved by this incredible generosity that he gives Raghav a prophetic blessing. He says, "When you try to do bad to others, bad things will happen to you." And you know what? That right there sets the stage for the dramatic consequences that are about to unfold.
Section 4. Jealousy turns to sabotage.
Even with Kalu's dirty tactics, Raghav's stalls survive simply because of his honest practices. Kalu quickly realizes that a simple price war just isn't going to cut it anymore. So, a massive mystery suddenly grips the village. Who destroyed Raghav's shop in the dead of night? Because the very next morning, Raghav arrives in the pouring rain to a truly devastating sight. His beloved stall, all his utensils, his equipment, it's all completely smashed to pieces.
The immediate aftermath is crazy. Raghav openly accuses Kalu in front of the gathering crowd. But Kalu?
He acts perfectly innocent, totally playing the victim. And crazy enough, the villagers actually defend Kalu. They claim an established businessman would never stoop so low. Completely broken, Raghav just abandons his stall. And get this, the absolute second Raghav is gone, Kalu instantly hikes his prices straight back up to 40 rupees. When people question him about the sudden price gouging, Kalu blatantly lies, blaming the rising costs of oil and tea leaves. It's unbelievable.
Section 5. The truth comes out.
But you can't hide the truth forever. The village Mukhia summons Kalu to his home. When Kalu walks in, Raghav is already standing right there. The Mukhia sternly accuses Kalu of selling adulterated food and smashing a stall in the dead of night. And right here is where Kalu makes a massive psychological slip-up. In a total panic, Kalu blurts out, "Raghav is lying, I didn't do it." But the catch? The Mukhia hadn't even mentioned whose stall was broken, or who even made the accusation. By trying to defend himself against Raghav specifically, Kalu totally exposes his own guilt right there in front of the village headman.
And if that wasn't enough, we get the final nail in the coffin. A villager named Maiden steps out of the shadows and confesses everything. He reveals that Kalu actually bribed him with cash to completely destroy Raghav's stall. Maiden exposes the reality of Kalu's character to the whole village, proving that all of Kalu's outward kindness was entirely fake, just masking a really deep, ruthless internal greed.
Section 6. The Price of Greed. The Lukhya did not hold back. He handed down a swift and highly structured justice. First, Kalu is ordered to pay out of his own pocket to repair every single piece of damage he caused to Raghav's stall. Second, Kalu's own tea stall is ordered to be shut down immediately until further notice. And third, he is forced to publicly apologize to the entire village, not just for the sabotage, but for literally playing with their health by feeding them adulterated, rotten food.
It's wild to look at how this tragic chain of bad decisions snowballed. It all started with a simple refusal to accept competition, right? Which led to an unsustainable price war. To survive that, he adulterated his food. When that wasn't enough, he committed actual sabotage. And finally, his greedy price hike drew the ultimate suspicion. That one single act of jealousy completely destroyed the thriving monopoly he originally had. Talk about shooting yourself in the foot.
Ultimately, jealousy and greed harm the greedy person the most. That old man's blessing to Raghav? It proved entirely true. But there is a silver lining here. Fortunately, the source material tells us that Kalu did eventually learn his lesson. After paying his fines and rebuilding Raghav's shop, he repented. Eventually, the Mukhia allowed him to reopen, and Kalu went back to making pure, unadulterated food, competing with Raghav honestly, side by side.
Which leaves us with this final thought for you to ponder. Does true success come from destroying others, or from the quality and honesty of our own work? When we focus on tearing down the competition, we usually just end up dismantling ourselves. Think about that the next time you face a rival in your own life. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep that curiosity sharp.